What kind of imagery do you come up with when you hear the word warrior? Maybe a man fighting furiously tooth and nail in some faraway no man's land, or a samurai cutting a swath through an army, a brave Indian, or maybe even a serene Tibetan Buddhist, perhaps even a Gandhi. This show is about the spirit of all of the above. Stay tuned as we look into the hearts and minds of the new warrior.
The state is contingent on its existence, both in the United States and in Canada, upon the perpetual colonization, subjugation, subordination, exploitation, expropriation of Indigenous peoples. It will continue.
You went through all this pain. You went through this political activism period. You know, they destroyed you. I mean, because heavy prices were paid by the activists. Because I mean, you look at the obvious things of death, but you look at the people who were imprisoned. You look at the people who were emotionally wrecked and destroyed. I mean, because they attacked.
All of my adult life, I've been an activist. When I started out, it was U.S. out of Vietnam.
Sometimes they have to kill us.
And it was U.S. out of the Caribbean and Central America.
They have to kill us. Because they can't break our spirit.
I agree with every one of those.
We choose the right to be who we are. We know the difference between the reality of freedom and the illusion of freedom.
But ultimately, there's only one way that any of them will be possible, and that is U.S. out of North America, U.S. off the planet, and take Canada with you when you go.
I never knew pride and I never knew dignity.
That have felt here. Haven't stopped for over 500
when
years.
When you see the West Coast warriors up
the
there,
Puerto Rican prisoners of war.
Remember, they're no fucking terrorists.
So now it's not the liberty. This is the reality that God has gave from the slave to the slave.
The freedom fighters.
To the grave. A world with no windows and a world with no mirrors. A world with no doors and a world with no tears. No mother since my birth, cause I never touched the earth and I never touched the sky, cause I never knew why. See, I never knew the moon, I never knew the sun, I never knew humanity and nature were all one, cause I never lived the circle. See, I've only lived
we were all natives and we're all brothers and sisters. If you look at us, we're the same people. And we all want the same thing. The right to our land. We want our land back.
The worst thing you can call a Mexican in Mexico is an Indian.
In the spirit of Cuitláhuac, in the spirit of Zapata, and in the spirit of Crazy Horse. Respect to your mother, all my sisters and brothers of Sagrada Tunantzin, the sacred earth mother, the sacred earth mother. But she's only half alive, she's only half alive, but we needed to survive. We needed to survive, but we lost our connection to the circle and the sacred for direction, the sacred 4D and its manifestation reveals over Dale and all of creation, from the mother to the earth, to the sky, to the water, to the earth, to the air, to the fire, to the water, to the north, to the south, to the east.
We're born into a paradigm where we perpetuate this kind of mentality of submissiveness and denial of culture.
This is sacred circle, this is our connection. Our mother is sick and she's got a ball section. How it was and how it shall be. And unless we understand this, we will never be free. We will never be free. Unless we live in prophecy, we will never be free. Unless we live in prophecy. This prophecy is like
It goes down to like ignorance of self due to colonialism, and ignorance of like the power structure, right? Which is what the Zapatista movement, it was built around, is trying to bring out the message of the right to being human.
Because they can't break our spirit.
Maybe spirit is kind of helping to heal us, because we couldn't wage that war indefinitely. So I think in a way, so again, the ancestors kind of reach out and say, well, here, and all of a sudden you got more native people that are being artists in the way that they're being artists.
Pump the fist like this.
Hip hop is my weapon. I be the enemy, so all the pressures keep stepping. Open up wide.
In the days, you know what I'm saying, before the arrival of the Europeans on these lands, poetry is you can, you know what I'm saying, transcend the limitations of this realm through poetry, because your heart is speaking and it's asking questions to the creator, you know. And now we're urban natives, so what we adapt at what's around us, and we're still keeping our ways, you know what I'm saying, but we're manipulating the situation to benefit us, you know what I'm saying, the best way we can. And hip hop is so worldwide, and music in general, you know, it's universal.
This force, this entity, this monstrosity called the state maintains itself by physical force.
With poetry, I paint the pictures that hit.
To be countered only in terms that it itself dictates and therefore understands. That's a deep breath time. There is only an alternative that founds itself not in that fanciful word of revolution, but in the devolution, that is to say, the dismantlement of empire from the inside out. And to sum that up and cap that off, I want to borrow a couple chops from a band that spread that particular word sometime back, Rage Against the Machine. When asked where and when to do that, said, what better place than here? What better time than now? Let's get to it.
Beyond Words, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Beyond Words. Being a warrior is a way of life for some people. We filmed a fundraiser for the Warriors Society of British Columbia at the Waldorf Hotel here in Vancouver. They brought in legendary protest singers Aslan Underground with Victor E. from Los Angeles. Also, Reconstruction from New York City.
There's a connection between punk music and warrior societies. Why else would they wear their hair in mohawk cuts? You know, because it represents that aspect of our culture. You know, fighting, resistance.
That shit, we didn't cross the border! We didn't cross the border! We didn't cross the border!
We're here to share our experience from LA, which we call the belly of the beast. It's pretty extreme, you know. I think that's why our music speaks so extremely, you know, of the racial barriers that we're dealing with, or trying to like seek our culture through these arts that we know that connects us back to our ancestors.
I was a gang member and almost got killed. Because of that, you know, I was forced to really have to change my ways. But I still had this sense of I didn't feel happy with the way the world was. And then I stumbled upon punk rock, which had like a sense of direction, a sense of like questioning authority and analysis, which just blew me away.
We must realize our connection to
our group started, we were straight out hip hop, influenced by hip hop, because we saw that our people were so blind to who they were that and then in the neighborhood, that's all they bumping is hip hop, but all like party hip hop, like. So, and we saw PE doing their thing with the African community. We wanted to do our thing.
Under English retro Spanish, it left us all feeble.
So I think it was a natural progression because of also the influences of rock early in my life to start playing live.
Of the Earth Mother, like the West Coast Warrior Society. All the little Jesus. Of the Earth Mother. From the top of Alaska to the tip of South America. I'm Yayala Anawa Turtle Island. 512 years of native resistance. The prophecies are coming true. The redemption of the red people has come. The sixth sun now rises. The seventh fire has arrived.
Not only do we share a common history, we share a common destiny. And it's going to require all of us to collectively put our energies together to challenge the government and to challenge them and to tell them that what they've done to our people, what they continue to do to our people will not go unheard. You know, we have to let them know that at every moment that they do something to us, that we're going to be in their face.
Gracias for Reconstruction, New York City. Yo, Leonard Peltier has been in an anti-American lockdown for plus 2 decades.
The web Batman from above the rat in the cage or a dog on a leash, crucified by the cops and the courts and the police. Who made a 187 in a prison cell, said the white man's heaven is the brown man's hell.
The bottom line is if we can't free Leonard, then we can't free ourselves. And we have to remember that. And I think that the key is to remember that every day that we are walking around doing whatever, he is still on lockdown, which means that we are still on lockdown. And we try to remember that every day.
The dogs are hounding, the guns are sounding. A bitter fruit is a life of a sufferer.
Reconstruction as a collective, like 7 years. Yeah, put out our first record in '98, which was the 100th anniversary of the colonization of Puerto Rico by the U.S.
Fight to stay for another day. Brown man's way is a limit to suffer. Motherfucker in that feet, high with it, more feet wide with electric eyes. I'm a mother to take no side. Take this whole thing. I'm a mother to dance feet wide with a line and a cut to sky. I'm a mother to take no side. Tear this whole thing down in the ghetto with a sword in the toe.
Music has been co-opted by the corporation, so there's this clamoring to get signed, you know, by what we call the Four Fingers of Death, which is what Sony, BMI, and the other cats. So, you know, there really isn't a scene because it's not like there's this solidarity amongst bands where they're just trying to create the next progressive, you know, next school thing. It doesn't make for any kind of resistance against, you know, the co-optation of music and culture.
Then we got on this side. It's a no-will abide. Still you try to ignore on the murderer's floor. The American whore, and it won't stop.
After, you know, 500 plus years, there is an aspect of Spanish as being resistance against our new colonizer, which is the United States. So yeah, we use it, you know, but the key is to like master both colonial languages so we can use it as a weapon against those who impose it against us.
Gracias.
The water keeps me going like a river when I'm flowing. The earth is my home, the place where I return whenever I begin to roam. The air in my lung helps the movement of my tongue. Cause the fire is within, from beginning to the end. So I grip the microphone like a boa constrictor. Cause I am and always will be the victor.
There's a statement that by one of the last people that stood up to the Spaniards in Mexico that talks about how our sun is going down now. But it's okay, you know. We need to take our treasure and bury it, and it shall soon rise again. And for myself, the treasure that he was speaking of was that knowledge and wisdom, so we need to hide it deep in our heart. And I think now all the energies and everything is set up perfect to where we can start bringing it back to ourselves and sharing it and not be scared of talking about this, you know.
Pump your fist like this.
And now, you know, we still run into some people, it's like, you know, why are you talking about that, or where are you getting that from, or why are you talking about that? That happened 500 years ago. But as we know, you know, especially here with the West Coast Warrior Society, the struggle continues. The struggle that commenced 500 years ago, it continues today, you know. And that's that whole prophecy, that's that whole statement that brother made about that treasure is going to come back.
Beyond Words will be right back. Welcome back to Beyond Words. If you ever want to be around thousands of warriors without actually being in a war, there's a festival that happens every year in North Vancouver. Under the volcano. We were there where we filmed the legendary Ward Churchill and also a rap group from Iraq that had a lot to say about their war-torn country.
I'm stuck living this genocide, spent bent by my deathbed, sentence lives like novelists, my eternal apocalypse. Affirm my resurgence from disease learning, the breeze burning, my insides tired, old earth yearning for answers, boulders go for cancer, throws, fathers and tankers, they driven by fear, flow out my coma, sleep and live in my tears.
Well, our crew's called Euphrates based on the river that was the lifeline in Iraq, and basically what we chose as a project is whenever we drop an album under that moniker, we want to sort of flow the life of thought back into our people who haven't had the ability to do so for the past couple of decades.
Shaking, why do we behave in ways to display an awakened beings, convey disgrace to the sacred scene? Pull my handles in this song, this Spanish vision, breath slowly descending, step that said that solely. Holding my infants in heaven, the word of existence. Skies will reach, switch dance, and look past the wristwatch. This drive to hold the wrath of Hammurabi. Ancient Babylonians, rotten bodies, bought known for leaders on podiums. Interfering you from hearing truth and controlling petroleum. It's all in their pockets. Prophecy marks, it's the loss of your optics. My clock ticks, but remorse isn't profitable for Marxists, not communists. To be democratic, my character would be found in section 8 of the demographics description.
Iraq's been in turmoil forever, you know? I don't know what to think. I'm grateful that my family came out of it safely. I can't really judge because I've never really experienced, but I know it's not easy. And I'm happy Saddam's gone, to tell you the truth, and his sons are gone as well, and the whole system. But I just hope for a better future for them.
Land of the free, home of the slave, I'm standing beneath all that I've saved, lost in the graves. All we cared for was family and the law, metaphoric and names you gave us. Saddam, 2 wars, Holocaust and the plagues, called it a race.
What was done to the people here when this country was first established, it is a form of mental and physical rape to a people's cultural heritage. So of course we do feel that in the sense that that's what has occurred to our country at a slower process for the past 40 years through a puppet who was Saddam Hussein. So I do empathize with the actual plight of regaining one's cultural ability to spread truth or wisdom towards what their system is or how they want to live, you know what I mean? So definitely I do, especially in Canada, man, a lot of wrongdoing was done when this place was established, and it needs to definitely be recognized, and the people who are the natives and who are the true heritage of this nation need to be respected for what they stand for. It's not Canada, you know what I mean?
South America, Africa, everybody, we all one, this right here is peace. I want you to all scream as loud as you can in one. Let the earth hear you back. Scream for me. Let's do this together. Peace and one love, Vancouver. This is Euphrates.
The Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Oh, have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop these times.
And if we oppose globalization and all it signifies, we have to understand what it is that makes it possible. We can fight it in the hinterland, we can profess solidarity with people in opposition to its ravages out there somewhere, all we want, but the belly of the beast is where we are.
How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Yes, some say it's just a part of it.
We can take it back to about the time a lost Italian seaman washed up on a shore in the Caribbean half a world away from where he thought he was, and has been known in this society as a great navigator ever since. And on the basis of that mistaken landfall, unleashed a process of conquest and colonization unparalleled in the history of humanity.
Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption songs.
Every square inch that is returned to native control, to native sovereign control, is 1 inch left they have of consolidated territory to base their power projection upon. Ultimately, if that process were complete, they would have no basis, either materially in terms of territory or materially in terms of resources, in order to conduct themselves in the world elsewhere the way they do now. You say that that is privileging native rights, perhaps, beyond the rights of others. You say, I am opposed to sexism as a first priority. You say, I am opposed to ageism as a first priority. In the restoration of territory to native rights, you place things back under native governance in accordance with native tradition, and we were not ageist, we were not sexist, we were not classist. None of these isms and ologies pertain.
All I ever had, redemption songs, these songs of freedom, these songs of freedom.
We are going right to the nerve center of what makes the thing function, and it will not stop functioning painlessly. It will resist. There's not a legal action you can take. You can't go into the court of the conqueror and have the conqueror announce the conquest to be illegitimate and to be repealed. You cannot vote in an alternative. You cannot hold a prayer vigil. You cannot have the right folk song. You cannot have the right fashion statement. You cannot adopt a different diet, build a better bike path.
Part of being a warrior is knowing who the real enemy is. Sometimes it's inside yourself. Just be good to each other, and join us next time as we take you beyond words.
So when we approach it through our culture and our art, see, that addresses the reality of who we are. Whether we like what we see or don't like what we see, when we express our realities to the world through our culture and our art, see, it's stronger.
We're hard pressed as young people to find some hope, you know, and I guess that's the kind of message that we should leave with here tonight, is that we should leave here with a message of hope.
Para Leonard Peltier.